Hey guys, how's it going? Michael Troy here. I am so excited about today's comic chat. I feel like this is a long time coming from my end anyway, because I've been wanting to get Barbara in the hot seat for a hot minute. As I was telling her, I only have three women in comics on my channel, the beloved Trina Robbins, the beloved Wendy Pini, and now the beloved Barbara J. Dillon. I've known Barbara for a while now, the editor-in-chief of Fanbase Comics, much accomplished, many good things to talk about, and your history with fan based comic books. And I thank you so much for being here, Barbara.
Absolutely. Good to see you, Michael. Thanks so much for having me.
Of course. Am I correct in seeing that you recently celebrated 15 years with doing your fan base thing?
Yeah, Fanbase Press is celebrating its 15th anniversary this year, which is mind-blowing. But yeah, in celebration of it, we launched a because it's hard to be celebratory in such challenging times that we all find ourselves in. So we really took it upon ourselves to think what do folks need right now, and so we launched a Build Your Community initiative, and we're just doing a series of in-person and virtual networking events and skill building workshops all throughout the year just to be bringing folks together and hopefully giving back to the community.
But I also feel folks need comics as well, because I know that it was the pandemic that made me finally launch my comic based YouTube channel. So, I think that, and it does seem like there's a lot of good comic books coming out and good comic buzz. So I think in dark times, people do turn to comics for, I mean, if you're like a comic fan, chances are you might come from a marginalized group of people and have turned to comics as an escape. I know that not everyone does, but I know it definitely helped me navigate the being a child who felt like a nerd or an outcast or whatever, for sure. So when did when I first met you, it was Fanboy Comics, and for all the good reasons, you changed it to Fan Based Comics, and it's been that way for quite some time now. So when did, and I should say this is a joint venture with you and your amazing husband, Brian Dillon. And so when did you guys decide to enter this world and do something like with comics?
Yeah, it was, my gosh, it was probably about 20, I think this is 20 years ago that we came to LA. We both came from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and came out to LA to work in TV and film, which we did for a number of years. But as many folks are wont to do, got very jaded by the industry. But given that we both had very artistic backgrounds, I grew up backstage in the theater, and Bryant was an actor himself. We still had this love of artistic expression and the desire to help folks, because that was the big thing in Hollywood. There were so many creative, talented people that we knew that weren't being given the opportunities that, like you were talking about, are coming from marginalized groups, hit barrier after barrier in being able to share their voices and share their stories. So we really wanted to change that. We wanted to have an impact and provide a platform and outlet, whether to share folk stories through publishing or through media and just supporting people, highlighting people and their work. And so that's where Fanboy Comics originally formed in 2010. And we were and have been a very unique animal in that we are both a publisher and a media outlet. But for us, it's like rising tide. We don't see this as a competition. We see this as an opportunity to celebrate all creators from all entertainment mediums through both publishing and promotion. And then, as you mentioned, in 2015, we just were very mindful of the fact that the term fanboy had a very negative connotation to it. We had many trans and female creators, writers on staff with us. And so we were like, let's take this opportunity to be mindful, and not only for our staff, but for everybody. We, from an outward appearance, wanted folks to know who we are and what we stand for right by our name. So not only did we change fanboy to fanbase, but we changed comics to press because we were doing so many different things. We were going so far beyond just comic books. So we felt that fanbase press was the appropriate title. And so now now it's been about 10 years since we rebranded, which is crazy to think, but I'm so glad that we did, and I feel like it appropriately demonstrates that we are fans ourselves, and so we're creating stories for fans by fans.
So when did you was the I don't feel like the plan was to publish all along. Did that come later?
No, that was actually the plan all along. So we started our first comic book or graphic novel was Something Animal back in 2010. But as you know very well, the creative process for production takes quite a while. So while we were in production on the artwork for Something Animal, a friend gave us the best advice, which was to start building a community. And so we started writing weekly reviews. We started doing interviews. I remember our first big interview came from John Bernthal. It was season one Walking Dead, and he was just at the height of, his budding career. And he was very gracious to spend a lot of time with us and chat about his creative experience. And then we really just took off from there. And Something Animal was released and followed soon after by Identity Thief, another horror graphic novel. So we've been publishing in tandem with the media since the very beginning.
One of the books that you published in recent years that seems to have gotten a lot of positive media attention is Kinsey.
Yes.
Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely. So, Kinsey is a 15-issue series about a young woman who gets superpowers on her quinceañera, but only for the year she's 15. As you mentioned, we've had so much incredible success for which we're so grateful. The creative team, Sebastian Kadlicek, Kit, and Emma Steinkellner, are truly incredible. The series has been nominated for an Eisner Award, has won many different awards, received a McDuffie Award for Diversity in Comics. So we're truly grateful and incredible for what it's done. And beyond that, we a few years later, it was actually the year that the pandemic started, we put out a deluxe hardcover edition of the series that was not only added study guides, essays, and art gallery by all Latinx creators, but we did a sort of flip book where on one side the entire series and all of that additional materials in English, and if you flip it over, it's all in Spanish as well. So we had initially released the series in both English and Spanish digitally, but we wanted that printed edition to be out there for bilingual readers as well.
I love it. I think the concept is so great. And I love the fact that it takes something that is so steeped in Mexican tradition and makes it like such a great plot point that everyone like to make for a universal audience. Like I love the elevator pitch, if you will. It just sounds so great. So
Thank you.
I mean, I think that's such a great way to, be inclusive and not and just sort of like invite people in, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
it's not just for people who would enjoy Keynes, or Keynes. Sorry, my Spanglish.
Oh, good.
So what so I should back up for a second. So you're from Pittsburgh. I mistakenly thought you were from Baltimore for some reason.
Oh, okay.
Did you
Yeah.
live there for a while or no?
In Baltimore, no, I've never been.
Okay, I must be
Yeah,
thinking someone else
could be.
completely. So,
Yeah.
and that's where you and Bryant met, and
Yeah, I was born and raised in Pittsburgh, and then we both met in college at Point Park College at the time, which is now Point Park University. It was very much a performing arts school. He was an acting major. My older brother was there as an acting major as well. I was one of the very lonely sole academic majors at the school, but we met on the same dorm room floor, and the rest is history.
so, but that's interesting though, because you did say you came here to be an actress, and you actually have done quite a bit of voice character work with, especially noteworthy is your the Katniss Chronicles as Katniss Everdeen herself, which I believe you won an award for, didn't you?
I did. I won an Audioverse Award for the Katniss Chronicles, which, if folks don't know, is it was a 3-year project. It was an audio drama adaptation of the Hunger Games novels. So, well before the movies came out, we adapted all of the books into episodic format audio drama. So, it's still available online on Apple Podcasts, so you can check it out for free. And It was a really incredible project. It was so one of the my favorite things that I've ever been involved in.
And you guys started that and just did it out of fun and love for the. See, that's what I love
Yeah.
because it just goes to show like the whole like formula of what you're doing, how like if you got a fan base, we're for you.
Exactly. Yeah, I don't, it took so much time. I mean, there was a huge team of us all working together, a writing staff, editing, directing, and then my gosh, the cast. And the cast spanned the entire country. We had folks all over the US who were participating. So it was quite an endeavor, but yeah, one of the favorite things I've ever done.
Yeah, that I know it must be right because it's always fun to act anyway, and then to get to be like one of your favorite things ever. Because I know you how much you love the Hunger
I
Games.
love
So
it. Love
yeah.
it.
So, what other books do you guys have anything in the works right now? And you did a Kickstarter in 2024 or three.
We did 24. Yeah, that was actually our first ever Kickstarter campaign. We held off for as long as possible, but we were like, you know what? So many incredible folks were really encouraging for us to give it a go. And so what we did for our first Kickstarter campaign is a deluxe hardcover of our graphic medicine series, Ripple Effects. Ripple Effects, excuse me, explores life as a superhero with an invisible illness. So the main character, George Gibson, has type 1 diabetes, but he also has superpowers. And so it's a really riveting story that not only talks about the real world implications of, day to day, what does it look like to have an invisible or chronic illness, but after every issue, we also have an essay by a different individual with various invisible illnesses and disabilities, everything from MS to paranoid schizophrenia. And the essays relate what happens with their lived experiences to what happens in the superhero story. So that story was Eisner and Harvey Awards nominated. It won the Dwayne McDuffie Award for Diversity in Comics. But we wanted to take it further because there were so many different invisible illnesses and disabilities that we didn't even, scratch the surface on. So with this hardcover, we brought in lots of heavy hitters. Gail Simone contributed a foreword. Todd Stashwick from Star Trek Picard did one as well. And we had study guides added. But my favorite part of the book was we did an art gallery and we asked kiddos who have invisible disabilities and illnesses to draw themselves as superheroes and what makes them a
Oh,
superhero.
I
Yeah,
love that.
I know. And then to go even further, we brought in professional comics artists like Ray Anthony Height, Drew Zucker, Liana Kangas, and they did their own professional rendition of the kids' artwork.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
Yeah, and we ended up partnering with David Booher on his Whatnot channel to do or auction off all of that artwork, the kids and the professional artwork, and we donated all of the proceeds to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. So
Wow.
yeah, so this entire project then was brought together. We launched the Kickstarter, and that book came out late last year.
Wow, congratulations. That's so
Thank
cool.
you.
I
Thank
know I've done two Kickstarters now, and suddenly everyone's like, well, you've done millions of Kickstarters. I'm like, no, I haven't.
you.
I'm like, I know a lot of people have done way more than I have. And frankly, they're a pain in the ass, aren't they?
It's a lot of
I
work.
mean, not a pain in the ass so much as just a heightened sense of like anxiety for a full month. You know
Oh
what
my
I mean?
gosh, absolutely. Like it's you're just and you're on for however long your campaign is, you are on every moment of every day, and then let alone, the pre-production of bringing the Kickstarter to life, the post-production of fulfilling and everything. It's quite an endeavor. Yeah.
Well, luckily for you, you've been, I feel like the good things you've been doing and then the decisions you make or the things that come from it are because of the karma jar you've been filling. Because you as part of Fanbase, you guys do a Kickstarter report to help bring attention to people's Kickstarters, which is such a nice thing of you guys to do. And thank you for featuring me my last two Kickstarters, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. But so you guys do a lot of great things. So how do you go about deciding like what you're going to publish and do people come to you? Do you just I mean, I know that fate has a lot to do with it, I'm sure, but
Yeah, that's a great question. So, generally speaking, I think there was only a brief period of time during the pandemic that we had to close submissions officially. But we're always open to hearing new ideas and hearing new pitches. And we've been super grateful that aside from the very first two projects that we published, everything else has come to us through submission. And really, we're always open to every genre, every age demographic. So there's no one story that we're like, oh, we have to find something like this. If it's a great idea, a great story, and someone that we want to work with, we're always happy to hear it. And for us, I think that what really defines a fan-based press book is it's one that can really resonate with readers. We don't necessarily want to hit folks over the head with a certain message or messages, but we do like to have an impact. We like to leave you asking questions or providing you with an opportunity to, really have, self-actualization or a realization or engage with other people about things. And if we can do that, I think that that's really the project for us.
Yeah. Well, darn you for being such a good person. And darn you for also not aging a second over
Oh
the
my
over the
gosh.
day I met you. And since I've known you for over a decade now, and now you've since have a family now. You have are you able to talk about that at all? Or okay,
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah.
okay.
I have twin 4.5-year-old girls, and they keep us on our toes. And they're amazing, super smart, just adorable. They make us laugh so much. But yeah, it's been quite an adventure learning to be parents and, navigating life as a parent.
I can't articulate why, but for some reason it seems like you and Bryant would be the perfect parents for twins. The
Thank you.
Dylan dyad. Well,
It-
I mean, I knew you
yes.
were into it from the word jump. Although, my goodness, you were quite pregnant, weren't you?
Oh my gosh. Yes. Thankfully, I guess thankfully, question mark. It was all right at the height of the pandemic, that I was pregnant. So we were pretty like sheltered and in, but I was on bed rest for pretty much half of the pregnancy. So it was
Wow.
quite an adventure for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, um, it's good to know that you have healthy, beautiful baby girls, and that's congratulations. So
Thank you.
you
Thank you.
you and Brian just are one of the most amazing couples. It's like you think of certain comic book couples, and there's Wendy and Richard Pini, there's Wheezy and Walt Simonson, and then there's Bryant and Barb
You're
Dillon.
very kind. That's amazing company to find ourselves in.
So, what I was going to ask you, you guys seem like I don't know where you find the time, energy, and resources, but it feels like you do quite a few conventions, or you were for a while.
Yeah.
How do you keep up with that pace?
It's a great question. It's really about dividing and conquering, especially, post having kids. It used to be that Bryant and I were very much able to go to conventions together and be there together. But, that's not always the case. We are able to make accommodations that for really big conventions like San Diego Comic-Con, we can be there together as a team. But otherwise, we just, we divide and conquer. Sometimes if it's like WonderCon, a multi-day show, he'll go one day, I'll go another. But yeah, we try to do the best that we can. We try to, not overextend ourselves. You have time with family, but also time dedicated to promoting our creators and representing fan-based press. But yeah, got to see you at QCon, Prism Comics,
Hmm.
Queer Comics Convention earlier this month, and next up, we have Hellmouth Con, which is an amazing, like a fan convention dedicated towards properties like Buffy and Angel, Firefly. That'll be next month, and then Comic Con will be right around the corner.
I know. I can't believe it's here already. This year has just flown by, and every year, like I make quasi plans to try to make it there and just never do. So, but I used to go like every single year for like 10 years in a row, and it's such a racket, but it is exhausting, but
It
it's
is.
fun at the same time. So, you
Yeah,
got to get out there and do it.
exactly. Yeah.
Do you have any comic books in you that you would like to write, or have you ever had that like
That's a
inspiration to?
Yeah, that's a good question. So, I had a project. I guess I can talk about it because it ended up falling through. But earlier this year, I had pitched to the folks who own the property for Mr. Rogers' estate.
Oh yeah,
And we were pitching for a comic book anthology surrounding Mr. Rogers. And it ended up falling through, but that's probably the closest that I've gotten to a project of my own. And that's not to say that, something else can't happen in the future, but as of right now, nothing definitive in the works.
Well, that's unfortunate. That would have been so cool. I know
I would
you
have
guys
loved
would
it.
have done such a great job, and I would have begged to do a pinup of Lady Elaine Fairchild,
Oh my God, I would have
my
loved that.
favorite Mr. Rogers character.
Now I
Yeah,
know if that ever does come to fruition, I'm going to
right.
call you.
It's like
Yes.
exactly. Stranger things have happened. I know I always have crazy ideas for comic books, but you know, sometimes they happen, sometimes they don't. I mean,
Yeah.
if you look at the history of comics, there's some crazy comics in the other out there. Um, Speaking of women in comics, it's funny because I thought of you, building up for the interview and stuff, and I just like read this facsimile edition of Fantastic Four, and it has the letters page in it,
Yeah.
and there were four letters from girls in the column, and I was so excited to see that. And one of them was complaining about the mushiness of like Sue calling or Reed calling Sue She was like, there were six darlings, five sweethearts, and blah blah blah. And I just thought it was so awesome and kind of like revealing to me in a way because I was like, everybody says that there's no female comic book fans, and I was like, here's proof. And not only that, but they were always here. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
I
exactly.
really, really am happy that I got you here today to talk to me because, you do have a great voice in comics and you guys do a lot of great things. And, comics is crazy, that whole like, that when that movement was going around, like comics will break your heart or whatever. And it's true. You do have to have the right mindset to sort of have a great experience within comics, because it's a lot of rejection, it's a lot of insecurity, it's a lot of poverty. So,
Yeah.
so for you to guys to be doing really great comics that make people feel good and do good things, it's like congratulations.
Oh, thank you. That's very kind of you.
You're welcome. Is what else can you tell us about? Do you guys have anything new and exciting going on that we should be aware of?
Yeah, so we have a series in the works right now that we haven't announced yet. So I'm going to let folks know to wait and see on that one.
Okay.
But otherwise, yeah, we're continuing on, as I had mentioned earlier, about the Build Your Community initiative. If you're in the LA area and you're in any avenue of the comics industry, we have quarterly potlucks at our house. Again, just in an effort to bring folks together and allow them space to feel part of the community because everybody is, and I think we need that camaraderie right now. We have another one coming up May 31st. So excited about that. We're also doing a skills workshop. We recognize that, since we're in LA, and folks in various avenues of entertainment, whether it be film, animation, comics, are really struggling right now to find work. And so we're doing a skills building and resume building workshop next month, which will happen virtually. And you can find out more information about that on our website. But we'll be hosting a professional jobs recruiter who will be speaking to, skill building exercises that you can be doing if you're looking for work outside of the entertainment industry, and also how to really beef up your resume and make it, putting your best foot forward.
Gosh, that just gets me so excited. Everything you talk about, it's like it sounds like what a great resource. Uh, fanbasecomics.com, right?
Fanbasepress.com.
I'm sorry, I keep
That's
calling
okay.
it fast fake. Fanbasepress.com
Yeah.
is where people can go for all these wonderful resources to and just fun. Like you have a lot of weekly columns that you guys do, and I mean you're constantly having new content. I used to write a weekly column for Barbara called Wonder Woman Weekly, and it was so much fun, and I loved it, and it gave me a sense of purpose and fun until I just couldn't stop, couldn't write about Wonder
It's a
Woman anymore.
lot.
It
It's a
is.
lot to
It was
do on a
hard to
weekly
come up with
basis.
something new every week, and
Yeah.
some of them were really reaching. But thank you for giving me that opportunity, and it was definitely fun doing it. So,
I loved having you do it. It was wonderful.
so any more? It's funny because I feel I can totally relate to the whole jaded by the acting industry or whatever. I mean, Oh my gosh, I don't know how quickly it happens for everyone, but that band-aid gets ripped off and you just realize that it is such a business and such a brutal one at that. And so that said, any desire or opportunities to get back into acting or any itches?
No, not for me. So actually when I originally came out here, Bryant was pursuing acting. I worked in TV and film production and talent management. So I was on the other side of things, the business side of things. And I think that's honestly what really jaded me is seeing everything from the belly of the beast. We worked a lot with our clients were folks like comedians and directors, Will Ferrell, Sacha Baron Cohen, Jim Carrey, those folks. And I think as while some of them are nice, some of them are not so nice. Um, yeah, I think that side of things just gave me visibility into what it was all about. So I've definitely dabbled here and there with acting. Bryant more so than me, but yeah, for me the audio drama was probably the most acting I've done for quite a while. But no definitive plans unless something really remarkable comes my way to do more acting, whether voice work or, stage, film, etc.
Yeah, I know. Well, I think like the voice stuff seems so much fun. There should be like live readings or something like that. Like I
Yeah,
don't know, something. I don't
absolutely,
know.
absolutely.
Well, I think that we've covered a lot of stuff, and I'm really happy that you took your time to talk to me today. Is there anything you want to talk about or share with us before we wrap up today?
Oh, well, first I would just say thank you. It's always delightful to talk to you, and I'm so glad that we bumped into each other at QCon this year. And if, like you said, if folks are interested in fan-based press, whether in checking out our catalog of titles, or if you yourself are a creator and, are looking for some ways to reach an audience or promote your work, feel free to reach out to us. We're on all of the social medias. Just search for Fan-Based Press, and otherwise you can find us at fanbasepress.com.
Awesome. We'll hang out for a second. We'll say a proper goodbye. And I just want to thank Barbara again. Barbara's one of the most amazing. I don't want to humble her too bad, but she is not only one of the most amazing people in comics, she's one of the most amazing people, period. And I'm a better person for knowing her and her husband, Brian. And you definitely need to check out fanbasepress.com and check out all the wonderful things they're doing and bug them and let them help you be part of their amazing, positive, ever growing comic community. So thanks for being here, Barbara. I'll talk to you guys soon. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Hit that like button. I'll bring you more later. Thanks, Barbara.
Thank you so much. Bye,
All right.
everybody.